when I first started, like you said in the beginning, you just want to work like a freaking workhorse, just go, go, go. It's like a freaking car without oil, and you just fucking driving that shit till it almost breaks, dude.
Yeah.
But long hours, and then every day. In the beginning, I would work 7 days a week, 16 hours, freaking 14 hours, 12 hours. I would just fall asleep there, wake up in the morning with my paperwork. Oh fuck, and let's just go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Stay Shining, Stay Grinding podcast. I am your host, Carlos Castro, here with my co-host,
Jose Gallegos. What's going on, everyone? Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us.
All right. This is the Stay Shining, Stay Grinding podcast where we talk about entrepreneurship and
A little bit of everything.
life experiences, entrepreneurship. We detail a lot of our own experiences that we talk about.
We're not, gurus by any means of any kind, but we're just here to share our experiences, and we want to look at it as like the reality of like the real struggles or the real deal, basically. Not this fluffy get rich, in a year, or life is easy, piece of cake, piece of pie type of bull crap. But what are we gonna talk about today?
We're going to talk about starting a business. The last two episodes were about me and Jose to kind of get a better understanding of what we do and who we are. So for this next episode, we decided to go to the aspect of starting a business because that's the next step. If you are interested in starting a business or already started a business, maybe a lot of these things that we're going to detail will be similar. If you have any questions or different ways of how we, viewed this or handled this, feel free to send a message or a comment and let us know. But this is from our experiences and generally what we have gone through and are going through because, Jose has 6 years in the industry. I have almost 2 years now. So, this is we're at two different standpoints, so we find it necessary to explain for the next episode that this is what it's going to be about.
Yeah, because by any means, none of us have made it. We're still in the daily struggles, the daily life of figuring it out, and we're growing, and we're learning as we go. But with that being said, some people don't even get as far as how where we're at today.
Yeah.
And a lot of it because misinformation. They don't have the proper guidance, or they don't know where to start, who to look up to. I know when I started, it was kind of hard at the same time because I didn't have necessarily someone that I was like, oh hey, look, how did you get there, other than probably like looking at YouTube or podcasts or things like that. And I'm sure it was the same for you, right?
Yeah, for me, I mean, a lot of my ambition came from just people who were already doing like photography and video. And a lot of my ambition came from that. So yeah, definitely a lot. I didn't have anybody around me that can like guide me or show me the way and how to do things. So a lot of it is just asking the right questions and to the right people too, because sometimes you would ask somebody, you send somebody a message, they don't reply to you, and you think like, oh man, this is somebody I admire.
Yeah.
Or, somebody that it's in your circle, you ask them a question and they don't even know the answer to the question that you have. So it just depends on who you ask. And actually you talked about the aspect of maintaining the business, and it's actually a big deal because I was listening to a podcast on the way here and they were talking about the longevity of a startup business and like how long it takes and the success rate, and like 80% of startup business, up to 80% of startup businesses end up failing.
Yep.
So I mean, we wouldn't really say that we're still part of that, success rate, because like I know there's a 10-year goal that a successful business needs to make. So we're still in the trenches, as the young folks say. So
yeah, it's super young businesses that we have here, and there's brackets, and So they say 1 to 3 years are like the toughest of them all. Then you get to like year 5, you're, I guess, head above water, and then you hit that second tier bracket, 5 to 10, more or less. You're roughly around, but anything can happen at any time. So that's the scary thing about business. Yet alone, the great thing about business, it always has you at the edge of your seat. You're always needing to be creative and looking at ways to move forward. But how about we talk about starting a business, pros and cons? You want to get started on that?
Yeah, we wanted to get a detailed understanding of like from our own experiences and give people like our pros and cons of what it's like to start a business. We wanted to detail what the pros, starting off with the pros. We want to gravitate your attention and understanding
Before we scare them away,
before
right?
we scare you away. One of the biggest pros in starting a business is being able to follow your own, being able to navigate and follow your own passion that you have, whether your passion is, architecture, whether your passion is, photography, whether your passion is, cutting hair, whatever your passion is, you have the opportunity to follow that. And in following that passion, it's kind of sometimes outside of the social norms. And the social norms that I talk about are like, going to school, getting an education, or joining a trade and staying in the trade. I viewed it as, you get to branch out from the normacy of life and have to start your own path.
Yeah.
There's a lot of similar paths to the ones that entrepreneurs take, like especially in this generation. Like we're kind of in the generation of entrepreneurs where everybody's an entrepreneur.
It's a big hype right now.
Yeah, and it's hard to associate myself with entrepreneurs because I don't really view myself as an entrepreneur. I just view myself as somebody who has their own business and is following the passion. So it's yeah,
That's a good so following your passion, and then so following your passion outside of social norm, right? So basically,
you didn't switch the right camera. Go back for following the passion.
All right, so basically following a passion outside of the social norm. So basically getting out of, like, we would say, like the rat race, the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Just being more creative, but then that brings more responsibility, right, on yourself. So what about, for example, limitations? Like what, those are good pros, but if you were to say you joined business because you had a financial goal, or for example, what would be the pro of like starting a business there on your perspective?
I feel a pro from starting a business.
Yeah, financially wise, like.
Oh, financially?
Yeah.
I mean, financially at first it's a struggle. Like it's not the pretty picture that people like to paint, unless you have like generational wealth that like helped you start up a business, or if you have funding or anything like that. But definitely like in the long-term aspect, like you do become financially free at some point. But it depends though, because some people will be stuck in the same cycle of, running their business because they're always chasing something they're not supposed to be chasing, or following or doing doing things differently or not accordingly. I always view it as like you got to follow the old traditional ways of running a business, and that's maintaining the business, keeping the business at scale, and then paying yourself last.
Correct. I agree. And a good, like, on the pro of having a business is you really decide up to what point you want to stop growing the business.
Yeah.
There's no financial cap, or there's no cap rate on where you want to go. I mean, look at the giants like Amazon, Elon Musk. they have no cap, like, and they can still continue to grow. So that's the beauty of also, and it depends on every person, right? Some people want to start a business just to win more than what they do now, or have a little more freedom what they do now. Some people just have the drive and the ambition to just, get to, like,
Just go.
yeah. So that there is no limitation or cap. On the contrary, if you worked for a good company or for somebody, there's always a cap. 25 an hour to $80 an hour, $60 an hour. I don't know, whatever the cap is, you end up getting capped out.
I feel in that aspect there's security though. Like when you work the 9 to 5, like there's security. When you're your own business owner and you're in charge of your own pay, like I feel like the security is not as like, it doesn't feel as safe because, like, your business can collapse overnight.
Oh yeah.
But like when you work a 9 to 5 for a company that's been around for 30 plus years, where it's not gonna fall, it's you're rest assured that, like, that financial, even though it's a financial cap, like you're rest assured that paycheck will be there all the time. Sometimes in our cases, like, last month's salary is not going to, or last month's income is not going to be the same as this month's income. Yeah. And then, next month's income may not be the same as last month's income. So it's definitely a understanding of, like, how things flow, but also, like, with the financial freedom, and something that I'm learning is, like, understanding, like, when to choose to spend and when not to spend, like, because you have to sometimes save for those extra months because you never know what may happen. So financial freedom is a huge component in this, but it comes with its sacrifice.
Oh yeah, definitely living below your means is big, even when you're working for somebody or when you start, especially if you start your own business, because like you said, you just never know when you're gonna get kicked in the nuts, and you have to really, like, dig into, like, your savings or your last pennies, your last dollars to keep the business afloat and get through that little tight cycle of, like, whatever financial thing you're going through.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in that situation where I've had to pretty much get to the last penny to make sure things continue, and it's a little, it's overwhelming. There's a lot of high anxiety that comes into that, like sleepless nights, a lot of energy that, like, man, like, you don't know how to deal with. But I think if you try to keep yourself positive in that aspect too, because, like, everybody's gonna go through that. Like, again, back to the only thing that it makes us different from anybody else starting a business is, like, generational wealth. Mm-hmm. We don't have generational wealth. Our parents didn't give us, we don't have a trust. We don't have, anything in our bank accounts from our parents. Like, we started off on our own. So the struggles in that are very different compared to somebody who's, who had money to start their business with. They're not to say that they're going to be more successful, but they definitely have less pressure as opposed to us who, we kind of funded and self-funded our businesses. Yeah.
Good. So those are a couple good pros. So we have having the choice to follow your passion outside of social standards. Your ambition becomes reality. So you work hard. The harder you work, the more you can achieve. And then no financial cap. That's a really good one, because there's sky is not the limit on that one, guys. And then another good one that I like is developing your skills. So being better. Starting a business puts you in a spot where you constantly have to be working on yourself to be able to solve that next problem. So you're always becoming a better version of yourself, especially because you're always going to run into certain different situations that working at a certain business, like you said, it's like a, how did you state earlier? It's like a, not being comfortable, but it's like security, right?
Yeah, you have security.
You probably go in and do the same thing every day. And outside of your...
And let's not debunk that idea either. Like, it's okay to live that life, and
100%.
it's 100% okay to live that life. But from our standpoint, we're at a different place where like we chose to follow our passion and are growing with our ambition. So like definitely no debunking on that, but like we have a different perspective on how we want to carry our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why the podcast,
Yeah.
stay shining, stay grinding. You get hit, you stay shining, and then you slow down, you keep grinding. You gotta keep moving forward. So good. Now let's get into some cons. What are some cons?
Oh, there's a lot of cons, dude.
At least some, because I know there's way too many to list them all. But
let's go for the first one. That if you're a business owner and you're not working long hours, are you really a business owner?
Exactly.
Like, I actually quit my job, and there's that meme that's going around. I quit my 9 to 5 to start my own business, and I work 24 hours. Like, it's fucking true. Like, you do work almost 24 hours. I mean, obviously you have to sleep at some point, but there's times where I wake up at 6 a.m, I get a workout in, and then I start to work like around 8. And I'm on, either if I'm at home or I'm on the job, I'm working, till midnight. From 8 to midnight, I'm working. So there's times where, and it's not like that every day, but at least for a good portion of my week, I'm spending my days like that. And it's just because like at some point at the end of the week, I want to be able to like relax, and I call it my well day. I call it a well day. It's just like where I just act like a well. I don't do anything. I just sit there. But in the back of my mind, things are shifting and moving, but you got to put in those hours, man. It's like, it's insane. Like how those hours mean so much in the longevity. Like you have to also remind yourself, like these long nights that you're working or long days that you're working, like are not going to be like that forever. There's going to be a point where like, you can like work 3 or 4 hours a day, maybe even a little more, but having to understand that when you have a business and when you're starting a business, we're going to the aspect of starting a business. When you're starting a business, you're going to work long hours.
Yeah, you got to put in that work. You got to definitely put in the work. I mean, Warren Buffett has this, I think, quote or saying where idiot with a plan can always outwork a genius without a plan, So regardless of going back to like if you got generational wealth or whatever, but if you have the drive and the hunger, the ambition, you got to put in the work, put in the hours, just simply to, when you're starting, just to stay head above water. Because even in the beginning, there's so much going on around the fact that you're starting a business, funding it, self-funding it, finding clients, getting recognized, having people, look at you, it is stressing, it's overwhelming, and it could really drive you almost nuts, man. That's why you just said 80% of businesses fail, startups.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I've like learning more and more as I continue is like working those long days and like continuing to work those long days. Like you see the progress too. Like when you like work for a week, and on that week, let's say you worked 2 to 3 hours every day, you're going to see the difference from when you work, 10 plus hours every day for the following week. You're going to see the difference in like where you scaled and like how much progress your business made, how many deadlines you actually made. Like you can see the difference, and you have to understand that working long hours is a big thing. But now this is something that I didn't think about till right now, but like some people who start up a business still have to work their 9 to 5.
Oh yeah.
So, that's even a bigger sacrifice you're going to have to make, and understand that like you're going to have to work 9 to 5, obviously, to pay your bills. So if you're starting up your business, you're going to have to work, let's say you work from 9 to 5, 5 o'clock, let's say you give yourself an hour of a break, and then from 6 to 12 should be your time to work your other job. If you have kids, if you have a family, that's even a bigger thing that you have to deal with. So you have to set some time aside for your family, 2-3 hours out of your evening, and then continue to work. So, there's a big sacrifice in time. Time is something we don't get back. Time is something that, we can't buy time. So using that time is important. And if you're going to start up a business, like, use it wisely. A lot of us, fall in the trap of like, going into the social media vortex where like, we just sit there and just start flipping and
that's the worst.
Wasting time. And then we're like, almost 30 minutes in and we're like, oh shit, like what did I just do with this whole entire time?
Yeah.
So utilizing the time, understanding that you're going to spend hours and hours of working. Sometimes you're going to feel like you're underpaid in that aspect of working long hours every day. So, I mean, I don't know. Do you have any input on those long hours? I know you worked a lot. You work a lot of hours, like, daily.
When I first started, that like you said, it's working legit, and this is because we don't understand. Later, when you grow and develop, you understand systems and all this. But in the beginning, you just want to work like a freaking workhorse, just go. It's like a freaking car without oil, and you just fucking driving that shit till it almost breaks, dude.
Yeah.
Like, but long hours, and then every day. In the beginning, I would work 7 days a week, 16 hours, freaking 14 hours, 12 hours. Fall asleep on. At that time, I had my office in my house or in the little trailer that we lived in, and I would just fall asleep there, wake up in the morning with my paperwork. Fuck, and it's just go.
Damn,
go,
I can't
dude.
do that. I cannot like. I know there's people that like are working and they just knock out while they're working on their desk or wherever they're at. I've never experienced that. I don't know if it's because I haven't worked hard enough or I like my sleep. So I like to set a time limit in like what time I go to sleep. I have to be in bed by 12. Regardless if I have stuff to do and stuff to take care of, I have to be asleep by 12 because I have other things besides work that I have to be responsible for. So, but I don't know. I've never done that before. I've never experienced that thus far. So I don't know. Maybe in the future I'll experience it, but I haven't experienced that point where like I'm doing something. I just like, whoa, like I wake up in the morning and like, whoa, what happened? Like, what's going on? That's funny that you say that. Cause like my wife has done that too, where like she's working at school or doing something and like she just falls asleep in front of her computer. And I'm like, man, I've never done that. Like, I don't know what it is. So.
Yeah, for me, especially in the beginning, because I'm in the landscaping industry. So obviously during from 6 to like 5 or 6 o'clock, I would just be laboring. I would work hard, pick and shovel, mowing lawns, all that, and then I would come home and try to work on the business part of the business, and then so I was already tired, drained from being out in the field, and then I would still come home and at that time I was trying to build my website. I was just learning off of YouTube. I was trying to work on myself. And so it's just the combination of it all, physical, being tired physically and then putting myself through mentally, like getting tired mentally, like I would just knock out. I remember at that time, my girlfriend, she would, wake me up. Hey, you want to go to the bed? I'm just tired. I'll just put my head down again and just wake up in the morning, shower, and let's go again.
Next thing.
Yeah.
Would you say that those days that you sacrificed were worth it?
100%. Yeah, especially like, how we grew up with our parents not having any like higher education or teaching us how to do things a certain way. So we just did it how I would say like the old school, man. Work like a donkey, man. Just work hard work. We didn't at that time work smart necessarily. It was just like, I gotta grind it out. I want to achieve this. I'm just gonna go for it. So yeah, today I look back and I said, it's 100% worth it, because now I have, I built a team. I have a yard, office, and everything, and I don't think it would have been able to achieve this if I would have been working. I'm my own boss. I'm gonna work 6 hours a day. I'm gonna put my feet on the freaking desk, and then no, I would have never been able to get to where I am today by limiting myself of the hard work I had to do by pretending I'm just Mr. Boss Man. No, I had to be up there. I'm a big believer, lead by example. So I would just be out there and, I remember you were telling me too, like, bro, just chill. You gotta let go of like certain things. But I didn't understand that till I hit a certain amount of guys I had. I'm like looking around, oh shit, I've got 20 some guys, whatever. I gotta chill with, work on the business itself, not in the business.
In the business, on the business. Yeah. So, in that aspect of, I keep saying aspect today. I don't know why I keep saying that. On the topic of the cons, a big
word.
one is,
It's a fancy word, aspect.
When we're talking about cons, a big one that we deal with, and especially, I don't know if it's just a minority thing, but people not understanding like your goals and your visions, like, whether it's relatives, whether it's friends, whether it's anybody, like, especially in your industry, like landscaping, like people think automatically like a gardener with a lawnmower, like they're like, oh, this is landscaping, like, and people are, oh, well, you're in that, like, oh, is that good, like, is there in that? And then same thing with me, like in photography and film, like I get it from my parents a lot where they're like, what do you do? I mean, like,
are you even gonna make a living?
You just take photos and videos, like, and it's hard to like kind of like, it's hard to kind of take that information, but at the same time, like if you're succeeding while you do that, and you can like display that, be like, look, this is what I do. This is what it's given me.
Yeah, 100%. I think, like you said, I don't know if it's a minority thing, but when we talk about bigger, broader ideas, like a huge vision, they're like, as a gardener, you're gonna do that? Like, are you serious? Like, no, you can't. No, for real. Like, I'm gonna grow this and like, this motherfucker's tripping. This. All right, keep dreaming, buddy. Like, I had one person tell me one time, oh, gardening, landscaping, you'll never be a millionaire. This industry just barely gets you by. It barely gets you by to live. And I'm like, bro, if I wanted to barely get by to live, I would go work for somebody, or not that working for somebody puts you in that spot, but I wouldn't be chasing these dreams. But
you wouldn't have higher goals.
Exactly. So, but I've met, like, in networks of like people with landscape companies that are fucking rich as fuck. They're wealthy, dude. They're older. They have, and you have to play your cards right to get there. But these people are, living a really good lifestyle, and they have a gardening business or a landscape business. And I'm sure you've seen it in your industry as well.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my industry is a little different compared to yours, because like, you're at a level where, like, 20 plus employees is small. 20 employees is small, where there's companies that are in your industry that have like what, thousands of employees. Like, for me, it's like, it's like, every person is like, for you, it, like, you can multiply really easily, because it's, let's just be blunt. Like, anybody can cut grass if you teach them correctly. Like, it takes very minimal effort. And then with me, like, you got to have the eye, you got to have the creativity, you got to have, you got to have the passion. You don't really have to have passion to do what you're doing. No. Like, I mean, what you're doing, you have to have passion, but like, to build a wall, you don't have to have passion to build walls, So it's different. It's different for me to scale. But for you, I feel like it's simpler, but it's more sacrificing. Definitely. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, and it takes time from, you sacrifice your health, you sacrifice time from family, from social events, parties. I remember when I was first starting up, I was living with my girlfriend. We had one boy, and then.
Who's your fiance now?
My fiance now, yeah, she's now my fiance.
I don't want you getting in trouble.
Oh yeah, she'll look at this and she's like, "Why are you, I'm teasing you?"
Why do you keep saying your girlfriend?
But yeah, I mean, we wouldn't go to the events because I was like, I gotta get this done. Yeah. Oh, but that's not fair. You got to learn how to balance, and in the beginning, it's a hard skill to balance. You cannot be you cannot be at all the parties living it up, and everyone on social media, they have their business, or day traders, or this and that, or real estate agents, or even some landscapers. You get a little taste of money, you want to go blow it, you want to go live the life,
you want to go show it.
Like, and it's difficult to discipline yourself to stay away from that and focus on really building like a real business and giving more opportunities to your team, your crew, growing within. So that's really big, and I felt like I've always focused on that and staying away from, the shiny object, and sticking with the dull, kind of boring side of things. But I'm growing a business that I know one day will pay dividends.
Well, let's get real with the sacrificing aspect. The health. Health is a big one that people have to sacrifice. I gained weight as soon as I started working for myself. I was about 155, 160, and then now I'm at like 170. So I gained in 20 to 15 pounds, or 15 to 20 pounds. So you do gain weight, and then I also noticed like in the last few months that I was starting to gain more weight. So I had to fix that. Like I am a super like stickler when it comes to my health. Like I'm not like crazy. Like I know there's people who are out there are pretty insane about it, but like me, I pay attention to it. Like I pay a lot of attention to it now, especially as I get older, because of like my grandma died from diabetes, and that was because of her health, obviously. Yeah. So I'm prone to that, and like in my dad's side, low cholesterol is a big thing there. So I'm like, okay, like I don't want to be, 50, 60 years old and I'm like, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that because of my health. So a big thing that I pay attention to is my health. When I first started doing what I was doing, I didn't really pay attention to it. I did somewhat, but it wasn't as serious as I am right now.
Yeah.
So, why don't you touch on that too? Like your health too is important that you've had to sacrifice.
Oh yeah. For me, it's like every young guy, right? I was a gym junkie. Being at the gym. This was when I used to work for somebody, and then started my business, and then I started. And I know, mental toughness. It's not an excuse, but dude, I was so indulged, and I was so deep into like the drive, the ambition was so heavily that I'll work out later. Dude, before you know it, I'm working 16, 18 hours. I have my kid, whatever. It's not an excuse, but I did not pay attention to my health. I lost it. You gained 20 pounds. That's nothing, bro. I probably gained like 50 pounds, dude, at the bare minimum. And then time flies, and you kind of look and you're like, what the fuck? How did I get like this? And, physical health is one thing that you could lose sight of or control of. But another thing is mental health. There's so much going on. You're dealing with so many things, and that's one of the cons of like you're stretching yourself so wide and so thin that it can be hard on your mental health, and people that's where people get strokes, and they get fucking seizures or whatever, and then
high cholesterol.
Yeah. So I mean health is a very important thing, and it's hard. The beginning is kind of hard to balance it, I guess.
Yeah.
Some people.
Oh, it's definitely hard to balance in the beginning.
Yeah,
it's definitely hard to balance in the beginning, and it's something that I still continue to kind of struggle with. But at least now I'm more aware of it, where I don't like let it take control. I don't know for you how it's been, but for me, like I've been working out. I've been active like my whole entire life. I've always been like a chubby kid. Like my body fluctuates like crazy. Like my body is like this all the time, and I noticed that as I got older, that like my body just fluctuates and naturally fluctuates. I can like gain and lose weight at the same amount of time. So for some people it's different. Some people gain weight and can't lose weight. Some people lose weight and can't gain weight. Like
every body type is different.
Yeah. So for me, like my body fluctuates like crazy. So I noticed that early. I mean, as an adult, but like my whole entire life, I've always been active. Like I played soccer, I skateboard, I worked out. I religiously worked out like in my adulthood.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to balance like gym or whatever you do, especially when like you start a business, because like you got to balance. Not only you got to balance your business, you have to also balance family life. You have to also balance any other things that you're taking care of. So, and sometimes the health, the gym is not that important, because, you know, you got to make a deadline. Like,
Yeah.
and sometimes, going out for a run is not important because you got to take your kid to soccer, or you got to go to to a concert for one of your kids. Like,
Yeah.
so it's just like understanding the sacrifice, but also not letting it take its toll.
Yeah.
Like, taking its toll will pay off, like, very sadly in the long run.
Oh yeah.
There's a joke that I make, and it's funny. Like, it's a joke that I make. Is like, if you ever go to a job site, a construction job site, whether it's whatever it is, you want to look for the boss, just look for the fattest guy there, and you'll know he's the boss.
The big guy with the badass truck.
Yeah,
The big guy sitting on the badass truck
with the nice glasses and just. Yeah, I said that joke when I used to work for a HVAC company. I noticed that a lot because, like, when I started working with them, they started to get all these new construction projects, and I would always see, like, the big guy come out in their big truck, and like they were big as in like size, and they're always, they would always say, oh, that's the contractor, or that's the guy who owns the house, and I would always be like, oh man, I'm like, oh, the boss is always fat. Like, what the hell? Like, so I say that joke all the time, but that's their own life. But like, that's something that I don't want to chase, where I don't want to, like, 5-10 years from now, I'm like, overweight because I decided not to work out anymore. Like, health is everything to me. So like, working out is definitely important. Even if you get a cool 30-minute, 45-minute workout, it doesn't have to be a crazy workout. Like me, I try to work out twice a day. So it's a big deal for me. So like, even if I get one workout in, I still think to myself, it's not enough.
You didn't do enough. Yeah.
So
that's amazing. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it can all, like, how do you say, like the snowball effect? Like, I'll put it on the back burner. I'll put it on the back burner. But then before you know it, like you said, you kind of like wake up. Oh shit! Like 3 years went by. I haven't worked out. Like, oh, where am I at? And then, you always try to feed yourself these, like, oh, it's because I take my kids to soccer. Like, I know that's what I do. I fed myself all these excuses. And guys, it's normal to like burn out. It's normal to like not want to do things. It's normal to not have drive, not want to like really get out there and do anything. But I guess that's what comes with like the discipline, right? You forcefully make yourself do these things which make you better every day. And that's what I like, that because it comes with business, right? Like business and fitness is almost the same thing. Because if you're going to be highly successful at business, you got to take care of your health too, right?
Yeah.
That's why maybe right now I'm not doing that good. I'm like, my business is like, whoa.
Well, I mean, it also helps too with like your mental health, like working out.
Stress reliever.
You
like,
get rid of all those
clarity.
Of all that negative thoughts or negative energy, and like, and you're more clear. Like, you're more clear when you're done working out, especially if it's a good workout. Like, if it's just a crappy workout, you might end up the same. Yeah. But if it's a good burning workout where you sweat and you felt the burn, you're going to be thinking up here very differently compared to when you started. And if you're having a down day, or if things are not being made, you're scrounging for money, like, a workout will change the whole perspective within that 1 hour.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely understanding that health is important when you're starting a business. Be aware that there may be you may gain weight, like, or you may lose weight, if you're buff. But be aware that sacrifice is going to be a part of that too, along with, working long hours. Like,
it's part of the package.
It's part of the package of starting a business. Again, back to the one thing that I keep saying, unless you have generational wealth where, you can hire people to do certain things for you as opposed to you doing it. Other than that, like, you are stuck doing everything yourself, and some things are going to have to be taken off the list for that specific day because you got mouths to feed. So.
Yeah, but I think that's also one of the, what I like is like not having the funds since the beginning. I find that more valuable because you learn to appreciate the whole process along the way. From not having anything to learning how to build and learning how to maneuver your way through these problems and solving these problems, turning off these fires, and, delegating this or delegating that. That makes you much more of a valuable person than to just, have a healthy amount of money and just throw it at people. Hey, I'll hire you for this, I'll hire you for that, I'll hire you for that. When do you ever learn the real struggle? Yeah, your business can go south or whatever, but that's because of people you put in charge. But as a leader, if you really want to like take something off, I feel like you need to be in there, in the mud,
You gotta be
in the dirt, in the trenches, and then work your way upward so you can, start to build something valuable and your team, your culture can respect you.
Yeah, so it moves on to our next topic, struggles. Struggles, man. I mean, we did cons. The cons are obviously, self-explanatory when we review them, but now it's the struggles. Like it's the stuff that you're going to be going through while you start a business. Like, a big one is learning to be self-sufficient. That's a struggle. Like, not a lot of people understand that. Like, you're gonna have to be self-sufficient. A big one for you is like, hey, so-and-so is sick. You're gonna have to cover that, or you're gonna have to figure out how you're gonna cover that.
Yeah.
A big one for me is like, a client cancels. Now I have to figure out how to cover that because I still have to pay bills. Like, a big one that I use it and I always tell myself, and something that I always detail, is that just because somebody cancels or just because somebody doesn't pay doesn't mean your bills on the other end are going to be like, oh, that didn't happen. Like, oh, you didn't make that money.
Yeah.
No, that's not going to happen. Like, you have to understand that, like, if this doesn't turn out, you got to figure out how you're going to pay those bills and how you're going to pay your employees. Like, you got to think about that. And those are struggles of, learning to be self-sufficient. Like, what am I going to do to cover that? What am I going to do to cover my employee who didn't come in? So being self-sufficient is important. And understanding that you're going to be financially broke for a couple of years.
Oh yeah. That's a big one that a lot of people misinterpret when they go into business.
Yeah.
Because they see all the shiny objects from the exterior. But when you start your business and you're funding it and you're doing everything you can, you are really driving this financial bucket of like, it's falling apart. And your life's falling apart because you're trying to save the business. So then, I mean, it's this weird, like, war of like, what is it? Like a tug of war.
Yeah.
Financially, it's a wreck. It's a disaster. And, it takes years. It takes years of living below your means. Just really, I mean,
for you, you've been around for 6 years now. When did you kind of start to notice? I mean, I'm not saying that like you're like, oh my God, you can go buy a freaking Lamborghini right now. But I'm saying like you're at a point where you can say you're comfortable. But like, when did you notice that? Like, when did you notice that like, okay, like we're out of the tunnel now? Like, at what year?
So I gotta be honest, I'm still not out of the tunnel.
No, but I mean, you can buy things that 2, 3, 4 years ago you couldn't. Like, let's be real with that.
Yeah, but that comes with the process of growth. But if I can make a purchase now that I couldn't later, I will still think about it because my vision is much bigger than what it is today. So I still find myself disciplined in a way where I consider myself still being tight because we're growing. Like, think about it, in 6 years, and this is, with all due respect to everybody, like in 6 years, we went from like 0 employees to 30, for example. Yeah, 30, 31. In 6 years, I've seen people be in business for 30 years and not go past 2 employees, 3 employees.
In your industry.
I have no loans. I self-funded everything. Like, where does that money come from? It comes from the business, but I put it back into the business. I don't drive a fancy fucking car. I don't have fancy equipment.
He's
like,
not kidding.
I don't wear fancy clothes.
His family has 1 car. Yeah, that's to let you know. His family 1 truck, an SUV. So that's goes to show you that like he doesn't have 3 or 4 other cars. He doesn't have a weekender car. He doesn't have any of that. So yeah, I mean I see that. But my question is like, when did you kind of start to like noticed that there was wiggle room? In general, I mean, not
let's
like
say we started 2016,
Yeah.
16, 17, 18, 19 was probably always in the dirt, in the mud with financials, because every penny came in, every penny that went out, reinvested. I would say probably we're 2022, maybe a good almost 2 years, maybe a year and a half to 2 years. So 2020
Okay.
is when I started being able to breathe a little bit better.
Okay.
But in a sense, I don't take it for granted, because I still have the drive and the ambition to grow. So I don't, like you said, I don't go buy this fancy whoop-de car like, oh, I'm Mr. Big Boss Man. Like I got to drive a, whatever cool truck is out there nowadays. There's a lot of good ones, but I'd rather more say, okay, if I put one more crew out on the field, that means I'm going to put another utility truck on the field. I'd rather spend the money that way. But then it puts me and my family in like more investments, but the vision and the investment is long term. That's kind of how I see it. But yeah, if to answer your question, seeing more flexibility or wiggle room, I would say close to 2 years.
2 years.
So it took about 4 years, almost 5.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's just because like you got to give people hope, you got to give people hope when it comes to this. Like, you're not just starting a business and doing a business just to orchestrate the band. Like, you're not just there all the time to, like, what's the whole point of starting a business if you can make, over 100K working for a large company and be okay financially?
Yeah.
So that's why I asked, like, at what point did you notice that, like, okay, this is okay? Like,
money's coming in.
Yeah. So that's why, it's important to have those goals, set those goals. We have understanding that like being financially under is going to be a big thing, especially like if again, not taking out loans, if you don't have, a trust, or if you don't have investors, like understand that like you're going to be, getting a very small portion of that business. For me, it's a little bit different, like because I'm an employee of one. I just got a lot of my overhead is already accounted for. So it's a little different with me. I know with your industry, like your overhead is insane. Like it's insane how much your overhead is. So it's different on the businesses, but like at the end of the day, the sacrifice is the same. Like the struggle of being financially under is going to be something that you're going to have to understand early on. And if you're not comfortable with that idea, then maybe running a business is not for you. Like this is when a lot of people fall, when it comes to the financial difficulties. People don't fall because of what they do. Like if you have passion for something and you're really good at it, like you're really good at it, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be, you're going to make a lot of money and at first. And understanding that like financially you're going to struggle is a big one.
Yeah.
And if you can't accept that, and if you can't fight through that, because I've had my moments where like I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, is this even right? Like,
I think every business person every entrepreneur or has had that feeling of like, why am I even doing this? Is it fucking worth it? Like, should I just fucking throw in the towel and fucking just like go look somewhere else? But you see, I feel like that's a determining factor of how much more successful you're going to be. Because imagine if you drive yourself 2 to 3 years into a ditch and then you quit and you start a new venture and you do the same thing, 20 years will go by and you're nowhere.
Yep.
So you just got to fight through those pains, fight through those struggles, and really push through. Growing pains, yes. Yeah. And, that leads us to the next struggle is like anxiety. Like you going through financial struggles, going through growing pains, going through it brings you to anxiety. Yeah. I mean, look at my shit. Fucking, I got gray hairs for days, bro. Like I didn't have those, 2-3 years ago. Like it's crazy. The anxiety levels are big, and I don't mean like anxiety attacks. Like, well, maybe I haven't got like crazy anxiety attacks, but like, yeah, you're always worrying. You're always like, am I gonna meet payroll? Am I gonna close a deal? I got 30 guys. Will I keep everyone busy? Well, there's just so much added to the plate whether big or small, the anxiety level is there, right? Because you, for example, yourself, am I going to close this next deal, or I'm going to, is someone going to cancel on me, which affects your financials?
Yeah.
So, I mean, for yourself too, don't you think anxiety or like worriness, all that is like another thing that's added to your plate?
Yeah, anxiety is big for me. I feel like I've dealt with anxiety for like a lot of my life, like a lot. And now that I'm, in the course where I'm like in charge of my own business, like I feel like my anxiety has driven higher, and I feel like my management with anxiety is okay. I feel like talking and expressing how you feel is what helps me.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like anxiety is, you're not you're a lot of the anxiety is built from unawareness of the future, like
Mm-hmm.
unassurance, and sometimes you just need to tell somebody like, hey, I'm going through this. I'm feeling a little weird. I'm feeling a little funny. And then the answer they give you is more assuring than like the answer you're giving yourself in your head.
Yeah, because you end up
And
playing a role in your head that really doesn't exist yet.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I feel like helping with the anxiety is like just expressing, like, don't keep it all to yourself. Don't keep it all to yourself. Be open to finding somebody you can lean on, you can talk to, because anxiety will come around a lot when you're starting up a business. So,
That's
yeah.
true. Especially, you know, even if you find a mentor online, virtually,
Mm,
or find someone to speak to, can really help ease these, problems in hand or that are coming up ahead that
yeah.
you're acting. I know I sometimes like, fuck, like, you've seen it, like, damn, I'm running out of work, or, the pipeline's low, whatever. You're like, bro, you'll be fine. No, you don't get it. I got all these guys, and then before you know it, boom, we land like freaking 10 projects, and now I'm like, what do I do with all this work? Like, I need more men. Like, that's how crazy it is. The
Yeah.
anxiety is like a roller coaster, up and
Yeah,
down.
I
Like,
feel like we make a lot of dumb decisions too when we're under anxiety. Like we make a
yeah,
lot of dumb decisions, and you know, I feel like when you're in your anxiety, like you tell me about it, and I'm like, oh, bro, you'll be fine, you know, and then you're like, you don't understand, and like, and then the same thing with me, like if I'm anxiety and I tell you about it, you're like, oh, don't trip, like you'll be all right, man, and then for me too, again, like, oh, you don't understand, like, so I
yeah,
mean, but talking to somebody will reassure that for you, and it'll help you understand, like, okay, like this is normal, like it's not something that's different, like,
yeah.
don't fall victim of like what social media tells you when it comes to running a business, like, and I'm not saying that all of it's like that, but a big portion of it is like, oh, it's all success, like it's all great, it's all fine and dandy, like no,
No.
like a lot of these influencers, a lot of these big names out there, like they don't really express what it's like they don't really talk about that, and like we're not trying to debunk them, but like we just want to let you know that like starting a business, you're going to deal with high anxiety. So if you're somebody who already deals with anxiety, like just be aware that you're going to be dealing with it more. So,
Maybe it's not for them.
or maybe it's not for you. Who
Yeah,
knows?
but it is good to get in there and test the waters.
Yeah.
Um, and that leads with the struggles of understanding how to input systems and procedures
Mm-hmm.
to help you lower these anxieties. And the struggle with that is, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses?
Oh,
And,
yeah.
putting your ego aside and basically allowing the more logical decision maker of your version of yourself help you, guide you, and the emotional, like you said,
Yeah.
because emotional decisions will, we don't want to let go of the things that we're doing right,
Yeah.
because, only I could do it right because it's getting done because I'm doing it. But no, you need to learn how to trust and delegate these things. And it's tough because it's tough. Like, who do I hire? Who can I bring up from my team, bring them upward? And it's tough, and it adds more to your plate. But I think it's really important that we find, the time to do this, because it'll help us grow, alleviate these anxiety levels, and then it'll help you structure something for your business to help you get ahead, onto the next bracket part of your business.
Yeah. I mean, operating a system that works, this is a big one because a lot of people fall victim of it's all in my head. I got it all under control up here. And then when you start to grow, and then when you start to expand, you're like, oh, how do I explain it to you? Or how do I tell you? Or, creating a system is so beneficial. Like right now, I'm in the process of working with an apprentice, an intern, mainly an apprentice. And I'm struggling right now with like how to detail a lot of things that I do, because for a lot of my time that I started doing this, I was on my own. So everything, I had a whole system that I was able to follow. So now I have to, remap that system so somebody else can understand it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that is a big one, because then if you ever do plan to expand to grow, understand that like you have to build a system that is capable for anybody to understand. And it's not for everybody. Like maybe so and so can't do this and so can do this, and it just depends. But implementing a system that will like help you grow, and where if you do plan on growing, like understand that like don't just leave it all here. Put it on paper. I tell Jose this all the time. I'm like, bro, he'll be like, oh, I want to do, I want to, have a supervisor or have somebody in charge of this. And I'll be like, okay, is it on paper? And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay, well then how are they going to know what they're going to be in charge of? So it's a big deal. Like to like, I'm a big believer of like writing things down. Like, so it's like for me, like a big thing that I use is like I have a checklist. I have multiple checklists. Like I have a checklist on my phone, I have a checklist on my computer, and then I have a physical checklist on like a sticky note. And like that helps me hold myself accountable because I have multiple checklists. And some people just have checklists in their head and they're just like, counting things in their head, like, oh, no. And it doesn't.
It's hard. I swear that's what I do all the time. And I know you're always like giving me advice on that, but it's like I feel like an octopus, but like with only two hands. Like I can't get enough done, but just because I need to like, and I saw this I used to network. I was in a network event and through Zoom calls, and it was like mentorship and stuff. And basically they were like, whatever the final result is that you want, unwrap that and build the steps backwards. Backwards. What step got you to the previous, to the next one, to your starting point? And if you write that down and then you clean it up and you detail it, because the first one's a rough draft, then you're able to kind of create a guide to pass down to the next person and say, hey, look, this is the steps that we need to take to get to our final product. So that's interesting. Yeah, it was really cool. Like you start at the end and then you build backwards. You unwrap it backwards. What step was it before this? What step before this? Then you detail it, you clean it up, and you make it understandable, readable for someone to be like.
Have you tried that out?
No. Well, yes, in my head, but no in my head. Not on paper, but I
have to try that out. Yeah.
No, it's really cool. I mean, I love being part of like network, having a good network of like mentorships. I don't really know anyone that I can how would I say, personally call and be like, hey, other than you, because we're always like feeding off each other's, picking each other's brain and, my experiences, your experiences. But someone that I could just be like, hey, like you're here and how can I get there or whatever? Because, unfortunately, I didn't I don't have family members or anybody that I can look towards. But there is a lot of people online that I look up to that are genuine, that are like legit, that I feel like are real. And they share like the nitty gritty, like all the stuff that you really have to go through to get to like where they are. And like the people I've looked up to, like that's why back to like, whenever you see flexibility with financials and everything, like the persons that are my mentors virtually or whatever, they're like, they didn't get to live the lifestyle they're living till 17, 18 years later into business. Like when I feel like the patience level in people, like the instant gratification stuff has people like so like, oh, I need to get there like in a year and 24 months. Like, so when I say like 4 years and I say I'm still in a ditch, I'm still like in the mud, because for me, 6 years is like super young. It's a super young business. So I don't intend to like pick the fruit yet, because I'm in my mind I understand it could take up to 10 years. And I know people that are more honest about their journey, I don't think anyone has made it like in 12 months. Like, oh, I was filthy rich in 12 months.
That'd be nice.
Other than like, like if you hit a home run on TikTok, or like, there's a lot of people that have done it that way, but I feel like that sort of business or whatever doesn't last. It's not long term.
Yeah.
Like you're funny, you did something dumb, you get paid thousands of dollars to do it over and over again. Like the backpack kid or whatever, then he's like flossing or whatever. Like he was big for what, like 12 months, 18 months. And like, what is he doing now? I don't know what he's doing now. He has good, I don't see him on TV. I don't see him anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, but it's like things that like, if you don't know, if you get like people that win the lottery, you get like, boom, you get $500 million. Like, what the fuck do you do with it? Those people end up dead or like broke again because they don't, they don't know what it takes to like what to do with that money. But if you grow within, learn, you become a valuable person, you slowly learn how to like take care of it, how to invest it, what to do with it. And then it's more of a long-term game. 10, 20, 30 years in the game, you go up through every bracket of business. And then, it's longevity after that.
Longevity after that. Definitely. We're going to close it out here with the benefits of starting a business. We didn't want to leave you guys high and dry with just all the negative shit and scare you guys away and make you feel like, oh man, I don't even know if I want to start one now, or I don't know if I want to continue my business. Growing a community. That's a big one. Growing a community. See, I don't know about you, but for me, growing a community is easy. But for me, in general, me as myself, I'm an introvert. I don't really talk to a lot of people, but like the people that I have talked to who are in the same industry as me are so open-minded, so open to sharing ideas, so open to sharing their knowledge, their experiences. So, growing a community is important because like it's people that you can lean on and you can, gain from and explore with. Like, there's this guy, his company is called Black Tape. And his name's Veer, and his title on Instagram is VeerFX. And he has a company very similar to the company that I have. His company is on a more larger scale. He's been around a little longer. He's got employees and all that. But I admire a lot of his things. And it's funny, like, I don't know how this coincidence happened, but he ended up following me after I sent him a message about how he functions, how he does his social media stuff. And I was like stunned to like hear back from him. I was like, wow, like he actually took the time to like reply and okay, yeah, this is how I do it. Keep grinding. Like, and I told him like, hey, I run a business very similar to yours. I do it myself. I have 3 clients that I work with. And he's like, oh, that's awesome. Like, yeah, he's like, right away, he was like, yeah, if you have any other questions or if you ever want to talk, like reach out. And like, I'm like, it's crazy how like you think about that. But like, I don't know how it is with your business. Like for me, like I can reach out to somebody and like creatives are very, very like, I don't know. We're like very like open to sharing our knowledge and open to sharing what we have, because like, I'm not thinking about like somebody's going to take my job or somebody's going to take my clients or somebody's going to take, my skills. Like I don't think about that. Like I'm like, I think about like, okay, who can I show and what can I show? Like if somebody reaches out to me, like, oh, sweet. Like that's awesome. Like it makes me feel good knowing that like people are admiring what I do. Yeah. So like building a community is important. And like building a strong system, a strong support group, whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, people who are supporting you and who are, not supporting you financially, but supporting you like an aspect of like, hey, you can still do it. Like, échale ganas, like as we say, So yeah, I mean, it's for me, that was a big one. Like understanding that, like that was like the big one where it's like, oh, like, it's not black and white when you're like starting something. Like you can reach out to somebody and they're gonna say something, like they're gonna reply. And I haven't had the experience yet where like I reach out to somebody and they don't reply. But thus far, like everybody that I have like built a relationship with, which is like a few people, like they're there. So
That's crazy because a lot of the times we think that if we reach out to someone that's like long ways from where we're at, that they're gonna like hold on to like the secret sauce, like. But like you said, and I've had that experience too, where like you reach out to someone and they're so open minded,
yeah,
like. But the people that are like really successful, or like really out there, because if someone's not like, let's say they're like a little bit like, let's say they're not as successful as you,
yeah,
and you reach out for like some advice, like, bro, some people are not willing to give it up, like that I have gone through,
yeah. See, that's what I
like
say. I don't know for you, it
in
may
my
be different.
industry,
Yeah,
dude. I don't know if it's like just a culture thing, like just old school Mexican style. Like these people do not want to train and develop. They don't want to let go of their secret sauces. They want to like they want to hold on to like the secret freaking ingredients to freaking KFC or whatever. Like they don't want to let it go because they think that, oh, if I tell you how it's done, you're gonna take my job. Like it's not like that. But you know, it all comes down to mindset. Like someone that's much more successful, they're not thinking like that. They're trying to reach down and pull you up. And a lot of people that are down, they want to like they see you going up and they want to fucking pull you down, bro. They're like, fuck you. They're like, you seen that? Have you heard of that joke or like the crabs? You know, the crabs in a bucket, and then like the crabs were like there was like these yellow crabs, you know, and it's not non-racial whatever, but like it's like the yellow crabs, the yellow crabs, like the brown crabs or whatever, and point is like the yellow crabs were like climbing on each other and helping each other get out, right? And then they were doing it, they were getting out, and then like the brown crabs were like trying to climb on each other, but like the fucking crab at the bottom would always pull the fucker down. They would fall, and so no one would ever exit the fucking bucket, and like all the other crabs like would help each other out. So like in a sense, like you want to like be the crab that you want to help someone push upward, exit the hole, or you know, in whatever situation you're in, you want to help somebody move upward, or uplift somebody, you know, and especially if you've been through that and you can pass down some knowledge. You know, I'm like you said earlier, you feel really good when people reach out to you and are like, hey, you know, I love what you're doing. I love, you know, the way you're growing your culture, your business. Can you give me like one or two things that I can input in my business? Dude, that makes me like, it's so fulfilling. Like, oh, dude, like I even get excited. Like, oh, what should I put? Like, you know, these kids reaching out to me. So I just put there whatever the best I feel like. I describe what worked for me. It may not work for the person, but I'm like, hey, look, this is work for me. Give it a shot. And then, you know, some people reach out back, hey, bro, like I did what you told me, like, and I'm seeing some results. Oh, perfect, dude. Like that's what it's about. But there's a lot of good benefits, like from actually starting and building a business. The outcome, the benefits is like, it surpasses like the financial aspect of like having money or all that. But like the like you said, the community that you build, the people that you impact, that's much more fulfilling. But then again, that's another benefit of like the financials, right? You can build the financial freedom and generational wealth. What's your take on that?
yeah. I mean, you get to a point like, let's not say now, but like ultimately, my goal and his goal is to build. Oops, I was gonna sneeze. My goal and his goal is to build, you know, financial wealth and financial freedom and generational wealth. That's ultimately our goal, and part of the benefits of starting a business is to have that, generational wealth, is to know that, like, you know, our kids will be all right, or, you know, will be all right in the future. So that's a big benefit if you continue to strive, you continue to grow your business, continue to follow even through the struggles, through the cons, through all the dirt and stuff. Know that one of the biggest benefits in, oh, your camera turned off. Know that one, no, don't switch it. Know that one of the, hold on. All right, I'm gonna stop it right now. I don't know why it turned off. Oh man.
Push stop.
We're almost done.
Push stop or keep it going?
I think it's low battery.
It won't go like 5 more minutes.
No, I have to switch it.
You want to push stop then?
It'll die again. No, you don't have to. It's fine.
Let it run.
I'll just cut that piece off. Damn.
These podcasts are good, bro. These podcasts are good.
Good thing it turned off as soon as you switched. I saw it go black on the side of my eye. I was like, oh.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully this battery has charge. Alright, and you're live again. Okay.
1 2 1 2.
Generational wealth, right?
Yeah.
Is that the topic we're on? Alright. Come on. Financial freedom and generational wealth. Okay. Start from the generational wealth.
Oh, back to me.
Oh no, wait, it's me.
Yeah,
Go
you-
me. Okay.
I think I was like,
Bounce to me
yeah.
about.
So what's your take on
Yeah.
generational wealth?
I mean, ultimately, the goal that we have as business owners and wanting to start our own business is that we want financial freedom, for one, and then two is generational wealth for our family, for those to come after us, and setting that standard at like, hey, if our kids want to go to college or if our kids want to do their own thing, like we can financially support them, because we didn't have that growing up. It's not because like, oh, whatever, but like, it's okay to have that. So, that's for me, that was a big one that stood out, was that like, that's a big benefit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you feel about that.
Oh, dude, financial freedom is big, especially like you said, we didn't grow up with that, right?
No.
I wouldn't even say middle class, like lower middle class, probably like we weren't poor. I'm not gonna say we were poor. We were not poor. My dad always worked fucking hard and had a roof and food on the table, and we were good, but we didn't have perks like we didn't get to travel.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, not once was he able to take me to Disneyland. Like, oh, boohoo, big deal, right? I'm not gonna like be depressed about that, but I have kids now, and like I want to take them places, and financial freedom is like, they say, oh, there's problems, right? There's problems when you're poor. There's problems when you're working towards something. What kind of problems do you want? I want good fucking problems, bro. I want to worry about paying $100,000 payroll a month.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I deal with. I don't want to deal with like not being able to pay my, $2,000 rent or whatever. I want big problems. I want good, healthy, juicy fucking problems. And being financially free can help you like have that.
Yeah.
And we're not debunking nice shit. We all want nice shit. It's just there's a time in your life for those things. When you're financially able to do those, like there's all kinds of like formulas, right? Oh, don't buy something unless you can afford it cash 5 times over, 10 times over, 2 times over, whatever the number is. But what your goal is. Everyone's goals are different, but financial freedom is big, and you're able to achieve it by starting a business, by, being an entrepreneur. And there's always been entrepreneur, right? Like you can work for a really healthy company that can give you that, which, leads to, I think the other benefit, right? What we're saying is uplifting your people and creating better opportunities for them, which is very fulfilling because you get to work hard to be able to give better opportunities to other people and create financial freedom for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big journey. It's a big learning process. It's a lot running a business and starting a business. I mean, these are just like the details that we decided to talk about, like the pros and cons and the struggles and benefits. We didn't talk about like the the systematics of running a business, like
metrics,
the applying for LLC, finding this, making sure that this is covered. In your case, insurance. Like we didn't even talk about that. Like there's way many more things that we can touch base on, but like we just wanted to talk about like the basics of starting a business and understanding that like these are things you're gonna have to deal with when you first start a business. Like again, this is just from our experiences. We're not like business majors or anything. This is just from our experiences. This is what we have experienced, this is what we learned, and this is what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions or any comments, or if you feel like what we said is wrong or incorrect, or if you feel like what we said is helping you, feel free to give us a message, a comment, whatever you want to say. We're open to it.
Like and subscribe, people.
Yeah, like and subscribe, share it with your friends, and
you got to tell people about vacation and travel. That's a huge benefit.
Vacation and travel.
Yeah, you didn't get into that. People love that. People want to travel, right? You want to get out there, you want to explore the world. And you've done it. You've been able to, with the time you've had your business, you've been able to travel to, it's wherever it is, but you go camping.
Yeah.
You go with your family, you take your wife, your kids, and you guys enjoy time away because you built this business that you're able to free yourself. You gave yourself the time.
I'm able to make those times. So vacation and travel is a big thing. Mainly something that you get to do, I want to say, after a few, I don't know, it's different for every business, but like you get to experience that. You've experienced that too. Where you've gotten to go to places outside of the state and stuff. I haven't traveled outside of the country. I know you have. But at least the travels that I have done, like they're travels that like we were able to provide, so yeah, it's exciting. It's a big portion in it. It's not something that like, it's something that you'll get to experience once your business is in motion.
Yeah.
I wouldn't generally say like you get to experience it when you start
early on,
but like it's one of the benefits at some point, whether it's the first year, second year, third year, who knows, depending on what type of scale of business that you're in, but you will get to have that experience. And it'll be different because like, you could say, hey, I'm going to take this whole week off, or hey, I'm not going to be available this week.
Yeah.
Depending on like your clients and who you work with, like you get to make the call on that. Like usually our vacations are during like school breaks because my wife's is in education. So like she gets breaks in the summer and winter. So those are the times where we decide to plan out a vacation or a trip. It doesn't have to be we don't do extravagant trips. Like I'm not going to go to Greece. I'm not going to go to Italy or anything like that.
Not yet.
I wish I would like to.
Yeah.
But like we do plan some things that like, give us an experience, especially like in the life that we live in. Like, we sacrifice so much time, so much money into what we do, and sometimes you got to enjoy a little bit of it.
Yeah, and it's really cool because starting a business, like you said, gives you the ability to say, I'm gonna block off this week or two. Whether like you go and you ask, hey, can I get this few days off or week off or whatever? Oh no, because that's the busiest time of the year and we really need you here, and without you we our team is lopsided and we don't want that. So if you care for the benefit of the company, you can't get those weeks off. We'll give you like wait 6 months, we'll give you some weeks off. But if you work really, really hard and you hit your deadlines and you get ahead of your schedule by a couple of days or so, you can just get those days off and travel and go camping or go do cool shit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool things you can do that only take about a few days. You don't have to go for 2 weeks, a month. You don't have to travel the world necessarily yet, but there's, like you said, there's those small things you can do, especially if you have kids, if you have family. Like you can't just like be super selfish and like, oh, fucking I'm I'm gonna go 10 years without doing shit till I'm rich as fuck. No, you got your kids are growing up,
especially if you do have a family. Yeah, because I mean, if you're alone, that is different. But if you do have a family, you are a provider. You do have those around you. You want to be able to at least experience some of those years with them. You know, even if you have to make small sacrifices, like just be open to that. But yeah, I mean, that's a big one. Benefits of starting a business. Again, I'm gonna close it again.
I just had to throw out the
So
vacation.
you know, again, those are just a few minimal things that you'll get to experience with starting a business.
And there is more good than bad, right? I mean, I don't we don't want to
Oh yeah,
put people in.
That's
like,
why we try to close it off with the benefits.
Yeah.
Like the benefits is important because like you get to work those long hours, you get to have that anxiety, but at the end of the day, you know, there's so many things that you're gonna gain from that. You know, your community, financial freedom, you know, time to yourself with your family, and building a team. You know, there's a lot that comes behind it.
Seeing your team win is big. That's one of the biggest benefits. Like, yeah, you work hard and you know, as they say, oh, you know, this motherfucker's doing well. But no, dude, the biggest takeaway for me, especially now that I built a team of a decent size, you know, just seeing and these guys sharing their experiences, like, oh, look at what I built, you know, in Mexico. Look at my house, like, and knowing the house they had before, legit, like, out of fucking palm trees and fucking sticks and shit, to now having like a full on block, like a house here in America, like legit, like full stove, full everything, like. Motherfucker, like, you live better than me. Like, you know, his family's good now. And they're happy that they were able to do that. And it could have been done with anybody, but the fact that it was done working for me, it just really like fulfills my heart. And like, it makes me like want to go even harder and like bring these guys upward even more, you know, because they've been, some guys have been with me since I legit started 2016 till like today, you know. So that's a big benefit, guys, just having your team win with you. Instead of just being selfish and like just want to take the whole piece of the pie, you know. Well, let's close this out, Carlos.
And with that, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Share it with anybody who may want to start a business, or if you know somebody who is in the middle of a business, share it to them. See how they feel about it, and if there's anybody that you know that owns a business and is already past us, and share it with them and see how they feel about it. Maybe they're going to say we're full of shit, or I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this is our experience. This is what we have faced. This is the challenges that we have gone through. And these are the benefits we get from it. So as always, stay shining, stay grinding.